If you're reading poetry this month and you're wondering what to pay attention to and what to think about and what to write in your reading journal about all the poems that you're reading, stick around because I'm going to walk you through the things that I think about and the things that I write about in my reading journal. And at the end, I'll share one of the poems that I keep rereading this month and why. That sounds good. Hit that like button. Here we go. Two things happened this month. April is National Poetry Month, and I remembered that one of my 2023 reading goals was to read more poetry or to read some poetry because I have never read a book of poems before. I've never read a collection of poems. Like my entire history with poetry is like reading little snippets of poems or quotes on Instagram and Pinterest. So I really have like no experience with poetry. So National Poetry Month seems like a good time to get some experience. So I downloaded like 10 poetry books onto my Kindle and I started reading them. And I wanted to write about them in my reading journal, right? Like I write about all the books that I read in my reading journal so that I can like process them and think about them and then like remember them. So I wanted to write about these poetry books as well. And I realized like, I don't really know what I'm supposed to write. I don't really know what I'm supposed to be paying attention to because it's not like it's a novel where like there's a plot and there's characters and there's things that happen to the characters and there's like tension and problems and resolution and the hero's journey and like there's all of these things um, when you're writing about a novel. But I really didn't know what to write about poetry or how to think about poetry or how to evaluate poetry if that's what I'm doing. I don't know. So I Googled a bunch of poets and poetry societies. And there was even, I found a poetry book club, which all they do is like read collections of poetry and get together and like recite poetry. Because one thing I did learn is you are supposed to read poetry out loud, which is something that I found myself doing when I was like reading on my Kindle. There were parts that I was like, oh my God, I need to read this out loud, right? So that I can get the full impact of it. So I was like, cool. I was doing that even before I knew I was supposed to do that. The poetry just spoke to me. I don't know. So I read everything that these people had to say about poetry. And here's what I decided that I was going to write in my reading journal about the poetry that I'm reading this month. find myself going back to and rereading and repeating, there is one. And here it is. I'm going to say it, but like, don't laugh at me. I'm not going to do it justice because I'm like just starting out learning how to do this. So I'm going to read it to you so that you can hear it the way it sounds to me. So, all right, here we go. You might have a little fire in you, a little rain, a little thunder, a little wind in your sail, too. You might have a bit of your mother in you, your grandmother, her mother, a beautiful old soul you feel connected to. And with all of these many parts, you were made to shine unapologetically bright, even when you do not know where to stand, even when the lighting is not right. So don't let anyone tell you you have to have the way you are all sorted out before you walk through your cave of doubt into your life that is happening now. And whether the way you come alive is through your words, your humor, your tenderness, your song, now is the time to share what has been in you all along, a full color soul lined with gold and a million stories that make you who you are. That's from All Along You Were Becoming by Morgan Harper Nichols. And I think the part that immediately got me was the whole beginning where she does the you might have a little in you, because that's something I always sort of think to myself when I'm giving myself a pep talk, right? Like, look, V, you got a little fire in you. It ain't over. Let's go. And I like the idea that there's a bit of my mom and my grandma, and the idea that there are all of these women that I am made of, and that all of these different parts are sort of all glommed together to make me who I am. And then when she says, with all of these parts, you were made to shine bright, even when you don't know where to stand and the lighting isn't right. And oh my God, I am always, this lighting is so bad and I don't know where to stand or how to stand or what to do with my hand. There's a lot more to this poem that I love and why it resonates with me and why I think I keep going back to it and reading it and repeating it. But I'm feeling like I'm going to keep all of that between me and my reading journal, if you don't mind. What about you? Is there a poem or maybe just a line in a poem that you've read and reread and just keep going back to because it resonates with you? What is it? I would love to know. Can you share it in the comments? And if you like this video and you want to see more, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. See you next time.